guys, this is Laurel C. I'm going to be walking you through my process for the Outlaws cards today. Kinda bear with me today guys, because I got a case of the sniffles here. Okay, so you can see my thumbnails were there briefly. I skipped over that part of it, but thumbnailing is actually a very important part of the process. It sort of lets you feel the size and scope of the image, see what's going to work on a smaller format like a playing card, and give you an overall feel for what you're trying to portray with the particular image. The job cards are landscape oriented, so right off the bat it's always easier to start with the right orientation if you're going to be using horizontal format, thumbnail horizontally, and so on and so forth. A big part of this image was the perspective, which I mapped out in my thumbnail and tried to nail down a little bit more later on in the image. And another thing to keep in mind is the black and white, because not only are these cards going to be either printed on the paper stock, but they're also going to be printed on the, or rather laser, pew pew pew, out onto the wooden cards. So you kind of have to limit your detail a bit, not only because it's a smaller format, but because, you know, you're lasering it into a wooden card, you know. I generally work at 250 DPI for all my images, which is a little bit higher than for print. Print is usually at about 200. Internet images are usually at about 72, so it's a little bit more forgiving if your lines aren't perfect, and you know, in some of the older Wacom stuff, like my Cintiq, has a little bit of jitteriness here and there, and if you work a little bit bigger, it'll smooth the image out. Another important thing, especially when doing, you know, real life objects and stuff, or even fantasy stuff, or stuff that isn't real, is to look at reference material. Yeah, we all know what a train looks like, and we could probably draw, you know, pretty decent train, but there's a lot of technology changes over, you know, a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year span, so you want to make sure you're looking at the right stuff. So I made sure to research what the cars look like and that sort of a thing to make sure you have the right era of stuff. Another thing too is proportioning and like sizing. You want to make sure, like, obviously those guys can fit in the door at the end of like the last car, for example, and looking at old pictures will give you a good sense of scale and scope, and if you're doing it right or not. Always make sure to block it in as well before going into the final detail and seeing what works for you. I kind of wanted to incorporate characters into it, since you're, you know, getting these jobs and getting your rep and you're playing with your posse, so I kind of wanted to include that aspect of play into it, instead of just drawing a plain old train, because I could have, but I think that would be a little bit boring. This game is about robbing stuff, and you know, I dig that. So I wanted to incorporate that and get a little bit of the whimsy and the feel of the game in there. Another good thing about perspective here too is I started throwing it in is small objects in the scene. Like, you know, yes, the desert is pretty barren. I happen to live in it, so I know that there's always, you know, dead trees and rocks and cactus, and throwing in little objects like that will definitely help with your sense of scale and scope. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward about how my process is. Feel free to hit me up if you have any questions, and just want to say, as the video comes up to a wrap here, thanks for all your support, guys. It's been really fun, and Bibelo Games, they're cool people, and they deserve all of your money. So, but it's been a riot, and please, you know, hit me up if you guys ever have any questions about my process or anything else. You know, I love to help. I love to hear from people. So yeah, once again, this has been Laurel C, and I'm out. Bye.